Okay. Hey, did you get Alderman Davis?
I did them all. Everyone is done now, so Miss Tyler.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll tell them that.
Okay, because I don't want to do this. I think I can do that. We okay. Yep. Oh, how's your boss doing? How's she doing? Dion. Dion. Yeah, she resigned.
How we doing? How we doing on time?
I got 10 o'clock. Andy, are you ready? She's in the registrar's office. Oh. Yeah, you want to do it? What is that one? You don't have to say that. That's why I highlighted. That's why I highlighted.
The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman, oh, sorry. Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderman Rice, Alderman Ballmer, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Todd, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Narayan, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Navarro, President Reed.
Here. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Can I ask everybody just to hold it down for one minute?
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Evans. Alderman Kotar. Alderman Gunther. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Green. Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Collins Muhammad. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Boyd. You have 23 present.
Quorum being present, we will be led today in prayer by our very own John Watson Jr. from Maple Temple. John.
Well, that's those that will join us in prayer to stand. We're quoting from the Holy Scriptures, Joshua 1 and 9. Yes, be bold and strong. Banish fear and doubt. For remember, the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Gracious God, Heavenly Father, as we assemble again in this chamber, some are returning, but some are also here for the first time. We acknowledge that all of them, with their families in tow, have responded to the call to serve this great city and their community. We pray that you'll take each one and give them insight and allow your Spirit to strengthen their resolve to boldly and courageously help move this community forward. Forward over the mountains of any and all injustice, forward through the valley of any and all inequalities, releasing the bands of indifference with a strong hand, boldly helping to break the grip of crime and violence in the community. When we make it courageously over the finish lines of political collaborations that work for the good of all, then God, would our call and our effort be a reflection of your higher purpose for our lives. As we release them to serve, take their families under your wings. Allow them to live safely and peaceably in the community. Into your arms we commit ourselves, our family, and our community. Amen.
Join me in a round of applause for John Watson Jr. And thank you for opening us up in prayer. And welcome to all the returning members and the new members of the Board of Aldermen. Welcome, and congratulations on all of your hard-fought victories. And feels good being back in the chambers after COVID-19 had us down for so long. With that, we're going to take up special order of the day. Alderman from the 10th, you're recognized on resolution number 2, temporary hiring of staff. You know what?
All right, am I on?
Alderman, I'm going to flip that on you. I think we're going to go to the swearing in of the new members, and then we'll handle that.
Okay, you're still suffering from jet lag.
Because it's temporary, but since we're essentially operating without staff today, I think we're okay on it. Normally, just so everybody knows that normally what we do at the beginning of every meeting in the new session is that we have to take up that resolution number 2 because we rehire our staff every session, right? So for us to run a meeting, we first have to bring on some staff members to run the meeting. So we do temporary hiring of staff before we do anything. And then when we get to the actual resolution, we do it again. But since we're essentially operating without staff today, I think we will be okay. So we'll go straight to the swearing in. Karen, would you like to step up? So for all of the members who were just elected, if you will all stand.
One more time.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name of the city of St. Louis in the state of Missouri, having been elected by the qualified voters of the city of St. Louis to the position of member of the Board of Aldermen from the State Ward of the city of St. Louis, do solemnly swear that I have all of the qualifications and am not subject to any of the disqualifications named in the charter for the office or employment I am about to assume. That I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state and the charter and ordinances of the city. That I will be influenced only by the consideration of fitness in the appointment, promotion, demotion, suspension, or discharge of officers or employees. That I will not expend nor authorize the expenditure of money otherwise than for the adequate consideration and efficient service to the city, and will faithfully discharge the duties of my office or employment. Congratulations. Okay, you walk anytime, Lily.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Let's give Karen a big round of applause. Thank you. She's a trooper today. It's going to be a busy day for them. They have a lot of swearing in to do. And then, again, we're moving to the special order today, and then we're going to go and do a second roll call. But special order today, the Alderwoman from the 15th, you want to give a report on the Credentials Committee? We're operating without staff today, though. All right, try it.
Let's see. Is this one? Okay.
There we go. There we
got
go.
one working.
Yeah.
The Rules, Credentials, Engrossments Committee met and reviewed the credentials from aldermen and alderwomen from the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th wards, and report that all credentials are in order, and all credentials are in order and meet the qualifications and none of the disqualifications for office.
All right, excellent. Would you like to make a motion to adopt the credentials?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Would you like to make a motion for us to adopt those credentials?
I would like to make a motion for us to adopt the credentials for the previous mentioned aldermen and women.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 15th. Seconded by the Alderman from the 9th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Alderman, for 15th. Let's give a big round. We would go back to, all right, you guys ready to get it going? This is your first official roll call, and then you will be fully fledged alderman, and you have a whole lot of constituents that'll be after you for a whole lot of stuff. Trust me, I know. I've been at it for a while. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans, Alderman Page, Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Stevens. Alderwoman Schweitzer. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Phil. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman John Collins Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Here.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Muhammad. You have 27 present.
Quorum being present, we will now go to introduction of honored guests, and we will start with the newly elected aldermen. So any of the newly elected aldermen, please, if you are wanting to introduce any of your honored guests, actually we'll start with the alderman from the 25th, because he's jumped up. He's going to he's going to give you an example of what.
Yes, I'll set the tone and the example for everyone who might be new to this illustrious body. Thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing me this morning. It is indeed an honor to be reelected to represent my constituents in the 25th Ward. This being my fourth time being elected to serve my neighbors. It is a great privilege and honor to be back here in this wonderful body. And look forward to serving with all of you again. I'll keep my introductions fairly brief this morning. I have with me just one guest because of our COVID restrictions this morning, but he is a very special person to me, my boyfriend Darren Hayes.
Welcome,
my
Darren.
honored guest this morning.
Any further introductions? Alderman from 12th. Actually, the 13th. There you go.
Learning to move the mic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President and members of the board. Today, I would like to introduce as my honored guest, my dad, Gordon Schweitzer. And my mom, Jane Schweitzer, who is my virtual honored guest. She is watching on YouTube, so hi, Mom. I have several people to thank today, and I want to start with the most important, the people of the 13th Ward. I am here for you, I'm here because of you, and it is the honor of my life to serve you. I will strive always to do so with compassion, transparency, professionalism, thoughtfulness, and an eye towards the future. I'd like to thank my parents, my siblings and siblings-in-law, Elise, Gordon, John, Allie, Angela, and Giancarlo, and my partner, Jimmy, for being there for me every step of the way. I know how lucky I am to have you, and I hope to always show it. I'd like to thank friends, old and new, for understanding why I had to ask, and ask again, for help knocking on doors, making phone calls, and writing postcards, and for still being my friends after all of that. I'd like to thank every single volunteer who believed in me and committed time and resources to my campaign. I know the value of every dollar and every minute. I'd like to thank my business partner, Richard Callow, for having upset almost everyone in this room already at least once, so I'm off to a good start there. I'd like to thank Tashara Jones for winning her election as mayor and for her support. She and I have come a long way, from a family rivalry to working together. I look forward to following her leadership. And lastly, I'd like to thank my colleagues for the warm welcome and for answering all of my questions. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Those of us who share this floor and even this building might not agree on everything, but I hope we can agree on this. We love our city and the people who live here. They put us here, and we are here to listen to and serve them. These are their seats. We're just sitting in them. I'll end with a quote from Lilla Watson. If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. Thank you.
Alderman from the 5th.
I would like to recognize my honored guest, my son Trey, who has traveled to St. Louis from the East Coast to be with me during these festivities. I would also like to express my deep and sincere appreciation to the voters of the fabulous 5th Ward who entrusted me with their votes. I will work diligently to build collaborations, to build teams, to build relationships within the Board of Aldermen to help us, not me, help us to move the fabulous 5th Ward and the city of St. Louis forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Alderman from the 11th. Oh, yeah. Alderman.
Are you doing honor guests?
Yep. Yeah. Alderman from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I unfortunately could not have my honored guest here today, my husband and committee man, Jake Hummel. He had to be in Kansas City today, so driving through a snowstorm. I do have a few virtual guests as well. I want to thank 11th Ward Committee woman Kathy Gamache. Kathy is so supportive, knocks on so many doors, and is just a true public servant to the city. I also want to thank my kids, Tim and Emma. They put up with a lot of evenings of frozen pizzas and running around to meetings, and Tim helps babysitting, so I appreciate them every day. I want to thank just my girlfriends, you know who you are. Those are the girls you call on at 11 o'clock at night when you're struggling with the decision. My neighborhood association crews, the Patch, Mount Pleasant, Carondelet, and Holly Hills, they do all the work. They put together meetings, they've come together virtually, the cleanups, they do everything. And then I really want to shout out to my Community Development Association president, Executive Director Fred Hessel. Some of you know him. Fred does the work every day in the 11th Ward and beyond. Senior housing, all sorts of work. So food pantry. Fred is just always there for me. I know he was there for Matt and Tom Villa as well. So I thank him very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Very well. Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you. I don't know who this mic was previously for, but I'm not this tall. You know what? It's fine. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It is amazing to see these beautiful faces again and the new faces that are here. I first would like to say you all are honored guests within the building today. We all have done some great things in our community in the past months over Corona that has gotten us to the positions that we are again today. So I'm honored to be amongst people who are honored in the communities that have been chosen by the communities to go out and do work within this city. My right and left hand, Miss Lucinda Frazier, which is my mother. And Linda Palmer, which is my other mother. Are the honored guests that are here with me today and are the complete reason why I am once again here today. We go out in our communities every day and try to make a difference. And we know for sure it takes 28 people in this Board of Aldermen for you to make a difference. Outside of the Board of Aldermen, when you go in your community, the community members and the team that you work with are what makes your everyday struggles get achieved. Your everyday goals get achieved. Those obstacles that we go out and fight for within the board, achievable. These people are my right and left hand, and everything that we do in our communities, they are the backbone for. There is nothing I can get done without my right and left hand, and I really appreciate these people, these beautiful women. Thank you all very much, Miss Lucinda Frazier, and actually, these are my alder people, right? Yeah. So when you can't get in touch with me, these are the ones that you'll be getting in touch with. To the community members that are out there, every single one of you all are also my honored guests. Mr. Tim Person, which has been with me since I've been a kid, has seen me through many, many different stages in life, and Alderwoman Davis. There's a lot of alder people in here, Mr. President also, that have seen me through a lot of different stages in life. So you all are my honored guests. I'm honored to be amongst people that I grew up watching do honorable things. And those people who voted for me in my community, you all are my honored guests. I appreciate you giving me another chance to try to serve. There is no way I'm gonna make all of y'all happy. You look at the camera when I say that. But I'm going to try. I will do the best that I can to get that trash picked up on time and get things done in our community and bring back resources for the entire city. But in the event that I can't, charge it to my head and not my heart. Once again, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate the work that everybody is doing. This should be a very, very great session for us. With that, I say peace and love.
All right, very well done. Any further introductions? Alderman from the 12th.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce my honored guest.
Hold on for a second. When they moved the desk around, they also shifted the mics around, so they're trying to figure out which one is which.
Test, test, test. Oh, is that good? Oh, hello. Is this what Elvis felt like?
That's what Elvis felt like.
Excellent. So, again, thank you, everyone, for allowing me to introduce my honored guest, my dear friend, campaign treasurer, and campaign manager, Luke Hinson. Luke has had the opportunity, I suppose it could be called, to have his name alongside mine on every piece of literature, sign, and everything else. So, Luke, I couldn't have had a better name next to mine, and truly, you are like a little brother to me, so I'm very glad you can be here. For the sake of being brief, for the sake of brevity, I'd like to...
Don't feel like you have to be brief. This is a time...
Oh my goodness, but my knees are already shaking.
Do your thing.
Well, in that case, my honored guest is also Ms. Frazier.
Yeah.
But I sought public office believing that truly we are the sum of our days, all of the good and all of the bad. So there are innumerable individuals that I carry with me inside that cannot be here today or cannot be here virtually. Anyone who ever gave me a kind word on the street, or perhaps held open a door, or made me smile, and those that put me through my own trials and tribulations. All of it has led to this moment, and for that I thank you. A special shout out to the children of St. Louis, specifically ages 0 to 5, whom I had the distinct honor of being Mr. Bill to, Mr. Bill, the storytime guy. I especially carry each and every one of those memories with me today. And finally, again in the hope of brevity, pursuit of brevity, I would like to thank my neighbor and former Alderwoman Vicki Grass for displaying an extreme amount of diplomacy, of kindness, and as Alderwoman Tyus put yesterday, class. Nothing more, nothing less. She has been an invaluable help. An invaluable help to my transition and will be the foundation upon which I build my own little administration in Ward 12. So again, thank you everyone. I have the distinct pleasure of serving with you all, and I am eager to rise to the occasion.
Alderwoman from the 17th.
Thank you, President Reed. Good morning, everyone. I am excited to serve the 17th Ward. This has been a lifetime of work. I have been in the community and have met hundreds of people trying to lift up underserved neighborhoods. And now I'm going to be able to lift up the 17th Ward and St. Louis. Moving us forward, we're going to dream, and we're going to dream bigger. I'm going to be held on the principles of accountability, community, and equity. I believe if we all hold ourselves to these principles, we will do the right thing for all the people of St. Louis. I also want to thank the voters of the 17th Ward. And I also want to thank my mom and dad who adopted me. My mom and dad, hey mom, they were pioneers in the 70s. They adopted me as an interracial child. And I see the world in black and white. I had to live between these worlds because my parents are white. But it has given me a lens and an empathy regarding community and bridging the divides. That is what I want to do here in St. Louis. I want to create one St. Louis. Let's break down the silos. Let's work together. I also want to thank my honored guest, Kaylina Menke, who is my campaign treasurer. If it wasn't for Kaylina, I wouldn't be here because we worked so hard, tirelessly, on a new campaign for 1 month before we were able to get more volunteers to help us. I would also like to thank then our volunteers and supporters. We had a mighty and scrappy team. Ann, Tara, Dan, Sarah, Amelia, Jane, Charles, and Michael. Thank you. Danielle Hobeka, who was my wrestling partner as I trained for the Olympics, she created my website and she said, I will do anything for you. So thank you, Danielle. Howard and Edie Brown, they know me from 4th grade, and they pitched in as donors, as my first donors for this campaign. Jillian, Margaret Davis, Teresa Donahue, Pat Chambers, Tom Carew, the African Caribbean Heritage Camp, who became my family, Spirit Rising, and the Empower Institute, Mary Elizabeth Grimes, who gave me a kick in the butt and said, go. I also want to thank all the Alder people here for your support. I'm honored to be the Alderwoman of the 17th Ward. Thank you.
Alderman from the 27th.
Okay. You don't know I do not like standing up here. Thanks, Joe, for calling. Anyway, I want to give honor and thank my husband publicly. He was cold, so he went downstairs. But he has been my angel from the time I met him, and he has stood by me from the time that I wanted to run for the alderperson's job of the 27th Ward. But I really want to thank people that was in the ward, and we had a powerful senior team, And I had like 10 seniors that volunteered to do phone calls. And so I want to thank them, and I want to thank the Mr. Alonzo Patrick, who fought tirelessly for me and put up signs and made sure people had signs in their yards. And he kind of helped me through this process this time because I was going through a lot, and my community is who took care of me to lift me up to get us to where we are today. So I thank my community, and without them, I would not be standing here, and I'm honored to be reelected as the Alderwoman of the 27th Ward.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Vaquero is directing traffic on the floor.
He's going to close us out.
He's going to close out the Alderman from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Welcome to all of our new colleagues. Great to see you here today. I'll be brief, as I usually am. I'd like to first and foremost thank my lovely wife, Susan. She couldn't be here today. My parents down in Florida, who are a constant source of support for me. My sister, Eleanor, up in Minneapolis, who's very busy covering the unrest and the Derek Chauvin trial up there. My sister, Annie, a school teacher in Iowa City, who's very supportive and I love dearly. My campaign team, you all know who you are. Thank you for all of your help and all of the neighborhood volunteers who helped make sure we were able to come back here and get sworn in this term. And most importantly, I want to thank the residents and the businesses in the 7th Ward who showed their support for me and helped win a hard-fought battle. And for those who didn't support me, please know my door is always open. I'm always trying to learn and do better. So if there's something I can do, those of you watching, if anyone's actually watching this, those of you watching, if there's something I can do differently and better, please, my door's always open. Let me know. I'm looking forward to working with everyone down here. We have many very serious challenges ahead of us this session between the ongoing pandemic, the violence in our city. We've got to tackle these issues. We've got to set our differences aside. And on that note, I look forward to working with our new mayor, who will get sworn in later today, Mayor-elect Jones. I have great hopes for her. She is a national figure who I'm hoping can bring great attention to our city and help move us out of some pretty dark times. So thank you all very much, and let's enjoy this day.
Alderman from the 23rd.
All right. Hey, you can hear through this mask. Kind of good. So I would like to thank, of course, my wife, who actually appreciates when I'm not home. And we had a great campaign committee. Greg, he was the whole committee. I couldn't stop him. He was every night knocking on doors. I'm like, Greg, basically, I think we're okay. We had a write-in candidate, and he's like, well, we got to get out every night. And I'm like, but Greg, I'm old, and I'm not that good at this. So definitely is my special guest friend, Greg. It just, I do want to thank all the voters in the 23rd Ward. And again, I was very lucky. I think the write-in opponent got, 160, and I got like 2,700, almost 3,000 votes, which I was kind of happy because I guess those 150 people were upset with me. I don't know. I'll work on it. I got 2 years. You can kind of give me a call. So anyway, I'm glad to be back. I'm pretty sure I'll be here making friends and enemies all at the same time. But anyway, Greg's my one special guest, and of course I'm glad to see Shameen and everybody again. She's always got a good smile. She's smiling under that mask. But anyway, thank you all.
Alderman from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Few folks that I want to thank, first and foremost, my parents who live in New York, could not be here, but are watching virtually today. I'm so much of who I am today because of them. My dad is a philosophy professor. My mom is a retired high school English teacher. And a lot of who I am today is because of the love of learning that they put in me and the inquisitive nature that they instilled in me from a very young age. And so I miss them dearly. The pandemic has been hard and not being able to see family, especially older family, as much as we would like. I also want to thank the voters of the 15th Ward. 15th Ward used to be kind of a sleepy ward. We didn't have great voter turnout. We didn't have great voter engagement, and we've turned into a powerhouse in voter turnout. And I'm really proud of where we are and how far we've come. And one of these days, we are going to beat the 8th Ward in voter turnout. We have this friendly competition going, and one of these days, the 15th Ward will prevail. But some of the folks that have been really helpful in getting us there that I definitely need to thank. As many of you know, I got COVID in December, was very, very sick, and have been a long hauler. Because of that, have not been able to physically do a lot of the things that I normally would be able to do. I get fatigued very easily. Some days have trouble walking, can get out of breath really easily. And I've had to rely on people to do things for me in ways that I've never had to rely on people to do things for me before, which has been a hard lesson for me. I'm not somebody that is always accustomed to relying on other folks, but this time around, a lot of people stepped in and did things to help run a campaign and help be successful and lift up and do things that I couldn't do. So some of those folks are our committee people, Carissa Gilman Hernandez and Todd Martin, the 15th Ward Democrats, Sarah Feltz, Lisa Donahue, Debbie Pratt, Meg Berkey, and Tori Park, who really have put together a phenomenal team in the 15th Ward to increase voter turnout and increase engagement. I also want to thank my advisor, Dr. Everson, who pulled me across the finish line in getting my dissertation done, getting published, and getting graduated finally in the midst of also running a campaign. And her willingness to work with me and having kind of the hectic life of being an alderman and being in office and managing all these other things, while also trying to finish out an education that in her mind I should have finished out a number of years ago. But life happens and gets in the way. But none of these things would have been possible without the help of a lot of folks who have been really supportive and pulling me over the finish line and helping to support me through some kind of difficult times over the last few months. I also want to just welcome all of the new folks, and I think to kind of piggyback on what the alderman from the 7th Ward said, we have a lot of really, really critical issues in front of us over the next couple of months, and I think also a tremendous, tremendous opportunity for some transformative change that our city really deserves and has been yearning for and crying for a long time. And I think that we're all excited for the inauguration coming in a couple of hours and for a new direction and a new agenda. And so I'm looking forward to working with everyone down here to chart a different path, a different direction, and really keep St. Louis in the national headlines, in the national profile for a city that's doing the right things and is really taking a critical and innovative approach to addressing our issues. So congratulations to everyone, and looking forward to the next couple of years.
Alderman from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I might as well jump up here and just say a couple words as well. I also have my special guest watching virtually today, my mom and dad, Bob and Dixie over in Belleville, Illinois, my sister and brother-in-law Jesse and nephew Jesse Mosley watching either from Belleville or East St. Louis. So I wanted to thank them for their support. 20 years ago when I moved over here to St. Louis, and started getting really active. I would say that it was the support of my family that kind of kept pushing me to be more involved, to try to make a difference in St. Louis and especially in our neighborhoods. So I wanted to thank them for everything they've given me, everything they've taught me in life. Also want to quickly thank who I know is sitting at home right now watching from YouTube as well, my partner Megan Bennett, who this year will be 19 years that she has put up with me. And so thank you. 19. I want to thank the Alderman from the 12th for being the next guy down here with the ponytail. So thank you. Thank you. We're making moves down here. So excited about that. But then also wanted to thank, we had a very small campaign crew, everyone that ran this election cycle. Had to figure out how to run a campaign during the times of COVID, which none of us have ever done. So I'm very grateful to my 9th Ward committee woman, Sarah Johnson, who has done all of my literature, all my mail pieces, all my website, anything creative she has done for me. I also want to thank my 9th Ward committee man, Brian Walsh, who is the guy that every weekend was on me to keep going out there, even when it was snow on the ground, cold weather. He's the guy that kept pushing me to get out there, talking to neighbors, and really getting to be the one-on-one with our neighbors in a time when it's very difficult to be able to actually talk to people because no one wants to open the door for you. So, which we don't blame them. So, just very quickly, want to also thank the voters from the 9th Ward. The voters, the businesses, the neighborhood associations. I have quite a few neighborhood associations that every month I take part in. So I want to thank Soulard, McKinley Heights, Benton Park West, Marine Villa, Mount Pleasant, a little bit of Dutchtown. There's a whole lot of neighborhoods that have supported me over these last 4 years and came out to say that we're doing something right. So I thank you all very much and happy to be here with you on April 20th. So thank you.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 19th? Duane? Alderman from the 4th? You and Alderwoman Davis trying to get out of this without making announcements. We're not going to let that happen. There you go.
Testing.
You're in.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh. I am honored to be the alderwoman, person, man of the 4th Ward. I would not be here if not for the man that this brick has a symbolism for. The late, great Alderman Sam Moore. There were many times I would come down here and I would sit over there when they had chairs. There are no chairs now because of COVID. And I would watch him as committee woman of the 4th Ward. And I just came down here just to see the process of what all the people do. I was a committee woman, and I knew nothing of alder people till I started coming down here with Alderman Sam Moore. Had no intentions of being an alder person. But you see what being inquisitive can get you into. And when Sam told me that he wanted me to be the next alder person, I didn't take him serious. He was in the hospital. I said, yeah, all right, you just hurry up and get well and come on out of here. And the more I followed him, or he mentored me, and the more that he had me to go and represent him on his behalf to deliver a message to certain organizations throughout the ward, I just said, well, okay, I can do this. Because it's not me. I can say I'm here on behalf of Alderman Sam Moore. don't shoot the messenger. And
take your time,
I did nothing
Alderwoman.
on this sheet
Take your
because
time.
I'm speaking
Yeah.
from my heart.
Mhm.
And I just want to make Sam proud of the person that he wanted for this position. I've learned a lot of things. I've had people to come and help me. I have people that I really look up to for information. And one of those individuals is right over there. I'm sorry, I'm going to point you out, Miss Pauline Davis. But she has, whenever I have a question of some sort, I'll call her, and she is just full of a plethora of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you, and I thank you for that. Now, back to my honored guest. My honored guest I have today is my sister, Geraldine Evans, who...
Welcome, Geraldine.
I'm glad that she still claims me as her sister, because there were nights that we only got 30 minutes worth of sleep working on this campaign, because I didn't have a rule book as to how it should be done. But I would go to her at 11 o'clock that night and say, hey, I need you to help me do this. I can't get it done if I don't. We worked to 3 o'clock that morning. We got it done. And this was day before election. So I want to thank her, as well as Stacy Fowler, who also assisted. She likes to stand in the background, so I'm not going to say anything else about that. My other guest, honored guest I have here is Dr. Melissa Nash. Could you please stand? Who's in the chambers. I have a number of people that I'm truly thankful for, including all of my 4th Ward constituents and voters that came out and elected me for the Alderwoman of the 4th Ward. I also want to thank my lead developer, Laura Hughes. We have plans for the 4th Ward. I know it's been a long time coming, but we've got other developers that are coming to the fold to help develop the 4th Ward. And I appreciate her. I also have to give a shout out to my liaison, Julia Allen. She pulls my coat when it needs pulling. She'll say, well now, Dwayne, you know you need to do this. And I love and I thank her for that. She's my quiet storm. And that's what I call her, because of, she's quiet, but she's the person that you don't want to have to reckon with. And I thank her for that. I also want to give special thanks to 77th District State Representative Kimberly Collins. She came up to me and she says, Dwayne, we got to get you elected. I said, yes, you do. I said, yes, we do. And so she says, well, you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I'm saying, okay. But she has so much energy. She was just dragging me along. But she was great. And she, Kimberly Collins, as well as Dr. Nash, I call my mother hens because they are always on me. I say, wait a minute, who's the adult here? Who's the older person? But they have my best interests at heart, and I love them for it. And that's why I call them my mother hens. And I thank my committee man and committee woman because we've got an awesome job that we have to do for the 4th Ward. And so get your skates on because it's time to roll. And I've already worn out 3 pairs, so you got to keep up. And that's what we want to do, is to get the 4th Ward rocking and rolling. And thank you for electing me as alderperson of the 4th Ward.
The one from the 19th.
Good morning, everyone, Mr. President, members of the board, to the public, most especially to the 19th Ward. I am above elated today. You see, let me profess something first. I'm God's child. And you need to always remember that, because you see, that's who has my back every day. And I tell a lot of you all when you call me, he woke me up this morning and told me, and he's not led me wrong thus far. So here I want to say to you, it's not been easy. I don't know why with some instances, but I love what I do. I've been serving this city and this country for over 35 years. I've worked on the federal level, the state level, and the local level. And I love serving and educating people. You see, the stronger the individual is, the better our country is. So for you to keep the knowledge to yourself so you can feel important is the wrong way to do it. Mm-hmm. I love my residents because I know they're prepared. I may not be in the room when they need something, but they're prepared. So to the Gate District, Compton Heights, Tiffany, Botanical Heights, Midtown Grand Center, Covenant Blue, Jeff Vanderloo, Downtown West, and a little bit of Shaw. I belong to you. You chose me, and I will serve you. You know, they have also given me something else that can go in the history books. I have had the honor of having the largest percentage of win of an opponent race 3 times in a row.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations.
I serve my constituency. My committee people, I love you. Thank you for all the hard work. It wasn't easy in this pandemic. So Queen Bird and Sean Baker, thank you. And my neighborhood information specialist, Bernie Powderly, he understands his job. He's not trying to be the alderperson. He's not trying to be the mayor. He's not trying to wield power. He simply serves the residents, and they know that that is his job, and he does it well. No one has to look over his shoulder. Thank you, Bernie. My family and friends are all over this country. I have family here and family in 4 other states. And when they can't come and help you, they worry about you. But you know what? I always tell them, remember who I am. I might as well put that God on the end instead of having last name Davis. But we've got a lot to do. Some of us have said it already. We need to make sure that we come together and serve this city. It is unconscionable that we have the knowledge and the ability to do, and we don't. We're too busy worried about the wrong things. So I hope that this year and the next year, most especially, we show this United States of America what can happen in a town that has had a lot of controversy. And we're going to do better. So the only other thing I want to say to you is good luck to you all. And again, thank you to my residents.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Any further announcements? Before we move further, I just want to thank each and every one of you for all the work that you do each session. I look across this board, and I've told you all before, I'm always so proud of the work that you all do. You get very little credit for the things that go right, and all of the credit for things that go wrong, things that don't happen within your neighborhoods and your communities. No matter if they happen 100 years ago or today, you end up taking the blame for them. But that's what we all signed up for. That's part of being a community servant. And I watch each and every one of you go through election after election, go through neighborhood and community meetings. I've attended some of those neighborhood community meetings where people are, pressing you for things, and I know what it takes for you to deliver them or not be able to deliver them, because a lot of those things are outside our control. So congratulations on all of your hard-fought victories. Not as the president of the Board of Aldermen, but as a father of four, I want to thank each and every one of you for being willing to serve and for serving so greatly. This board is probably one of the most productive legislative branches of city government in the state of Missouri. I mean, think about what we do. We introduce somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 300 pieces of legislation a session. We pass out all but maybe 5, 6, 10 at the top. And we get those things done. We engage in very vigorous debate, and we get work done. So that you guys need to take some credit for getting things done for the city. We have a lot more work to be done. So I'm really happy that all of you have decided to continue the work that you've laid the groundwork for. And before we move forward, let's give a big round of applause and congratulations to Alderwoman Kara Spencer, who had a hard-fought campaign. Alderwoman Spencer, I've been to that dance more than once, and people don't understand how much of a grind it is. It is a tough thing to put yourself out like that. And for Alderwoman Spencer, she carried it much farther than people gave her credit for on the onset. So that's some credit to you and your team for the work that you've done, and that shows your ability to organize and to galvanize people. So congratulations. Let's give her one more round of applause. Congratulations. Now take some time out and relax. I just did that for the rest. And with that, we will go on with the regular order of business. Try to get through as much of this as possible. We will dispense with line item 5, report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found on line items A, B, and C of your agenda and have been placed in all the aldermen's mailboxes.
We dispense with line items 7 through 10, first reading of board bills.
Board Bill Number 2, sponsored by President Reed, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment and authorizing the mayor or her designees to apply for and accept funds pursuant to federal appropriations under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, containing a severability clause and containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of first reading of board bills.
We will dispense with line items 12 through 20, first reading of resolutions.
Resolution number 1, sponsored by President Reed and Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, the Board of Aldermen rules.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize.
Mr. President, I move for unanimous consent.
Second.
Hearing no objection, please proceed on.
Mr. President, I move for adoptions of the 2020 through 2021 legislative session of the rules for the Board of Aldermen.
Moved by Alderman from the 22nd, entertain a second by Alderman from the 23rd. Any discussion? Alderman from the 8th.
Well, let's see. There we go. Thank you, Mr. President. I have an amendment to Resolution 1, if I could grab someone to help me pass it out.
How do we do this without staff? Tom and you all, can you help get those out?
There's 3 pages. 3 pages. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. They were collated. I just had to space it out to get the format right. Tom, do you need a... Oh, here, Megan's got more. Megan's got extras over here. I'm missing Megan.
Here.
Oh, here. Just let me have that. Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, Megan's got extras. Okay. Okay, I think, does everyone have 3 pages? I apologize, it looks long, it's really not long. So the idea here, this is an amendment to Rules 26 and 27, and because they are in consecutive in our rules, they follow together. So what this would do would amend our meetings to say, all committee meetings of the Board of Aldermen shall be public hearings. So right now we distinguish between, oh, I'm sorry, I probably need to move to adopt. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Yeah. You just make your motion for amendment number 1.
I would like to move to amend Resolution 1 for adopt amendment number 1 to Resolution number 1.
Okay, and then read into the record what that is. Just
sure.
Kind of paraphrase it.
Okay, so to amend Rules 26 and 27 of the Rules of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen as follows. At the beginning of Rule 26, paragraph 1, insert the words, all committee meetings of the Board of Aldermen shall be public hearings. Number 2, after Rule 26, paragraph 1, insert the following paragraphs. No committee shall vote on any bill or resolution assigned to it, whether to amend a bill or resolution in committee or pass a bill or resolution out of committee with a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen, unless prior to such vote the committee meets to hear public testimony on the bill or resolution to be voted on. A committee may vote to amend a bill or resolution in committee or pass a bill or resolution out of committee with a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen at the same time public testimony is heard on the bill or resolution to be voted on. Paragraph 3, written testimony in support of or in opposition to any bill or resolution may be submitted to the clerk via physical letter or electronically mailed / online form, shall be kept by the clerk as a public record, and shall be available to the members of the committee and the members of the Board of Aldermen when they consider said bill or resolution. And the third piece here, in paragraph 1 of Rule 27, strike the words, after the presentation of a bill at any public hearing, the proponents and opponents shall be heard alternately, and replace with, after the presentation of a bill, resolution, or topic for discussion by city officials or invited guests at a committee meeting, the proponents and opponents of said bill or resolution shall be heard alternately, and public comment on the topic for discussion shall be heard.
All right, thank you. It's been, hold on a second. Alderman from the 14th.
I mean, I understand that maybe this isn't a big deal if you crafted it, but I think we need some time to look at it and read through it.
Okay.
I really would like to make a motion that we hold on and wait on this because I think we need some time to review it.
Okay. I think,
Doesn't there need to be a second on the initial motion to begin?
yeah, that's what I'm coming back to. So you read it into the record. You like them, and you wanted to make a motion on that amendment.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to move to adopt amendment number 1 to resolution number 1.
Number 8, and then seconded by the Alderman from the 9th. Then Alderman from the 22nd.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I don't know if it's because I'm dealing with grief or I have my brain on cognitive delay, but I'm having a hard time trying to keep up with what's being done. And pursuant to the rules, I'm going to ask that this amendment be put in a form where it's clear what we're deleting and it's clear what we're adding, because I'm trying to follow and I'm getting a little lost as to if we're replacing a whole paragraph or we're adding an additional paragraph, because some of the language reads the same as the original language, so I'm just kind of confused. Oh, thank you. That makes it easier.
Alderman from the 22nd.
No, I withdraw. They have what I need.
They have what you need.
I'm
Alderman from the,
just,
go ahead.
I would yield to the Alderman of the 23rd if he has a question.
Alderman from the 23rd, and then we're going to go to the Alderman from the 3rd. Alderman from the 23rd.
So, I mean, to the quickest that I could read this, I don't know that I would agree that every resolution would require, because we do courtesy resolutions, and then public testimony at every meeting, then every meeting will go for hours on end. And it's not always necessary on some of the things that we do that, and it's always been up to the chairman to make that decision. And sometimes we'll have public testimony at 1 or 2 meetings when it's all on the same subject. Then to come back and say, gee, well, we're going to keep doing that over and over and over. And it seems to always be the same organized group that, is doing that. I don't see this as, I think at that point you're taking the power and privilege away from the chairman to look into whether or not at some point to cut that off. I mean, it seems to me that the ones that we've had, even though it's on the same subject, it's been, you can't have public testimony over and over and over and over and over. It just doesn't seem, it just don't seem right. It's always been, and I know they like to get on me on Facebook going, oh, well, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. But again, it's always the same organized group, and it's endless. And it's the same thing over and over. We don't generally even hold people to the 3 minutes that we say. When we've done public testimony, we've kind of opened it up and let people talk for a bit longer. So I don't know. I think this is a change that I just can't get my head around the change, and I can't support this, just so you know.
All right. Alderman from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I inquire of the Alderwoman from the 8th, please?
Alderman from the 8th, will you yield the question to the Alderman from the 11th?
Yes.
Alderman from the 11th, please proceed.
Thank you. Just a note on the public testimony, which I support. I just want to point out, this would not prohibit a chair from saying everyone has 3 minutes or that sort of thing, correct?
Correct. The limits are in, so that's why there's two different copies, so you have the entirety of the rules kind of in the different formats that we do amendments. But there is, under public hearing procedures, Rule 27, there is a stated limit of no longer than 5 minutes. And any chairperson can go less than that if they wish. So this is not in trying to say you have to let anyone who wants to speak for hours on end. The chairperson still does control the flow of the room. This is just saying that at any meeting, we should welcome the public to testify on the issue that's in front of us.
All right, thank you. Might I comment on the amendment,
Yes,
please? Thank you.
please.
I just want to say I do support this. Sometimes we do have some controversial resolutions occasionally. I know when I did the resolution for an anniversary on Roe v. Wade, some of my colleagues rightfully wanted, sorry, it is so hard with this mask. They rightfully, wanted a hearing on that, and we do send things to committees all the time, and I want to respect people's differing views. So I know that sometimes resolutions seem pretty celebratory, but occasionally we do have those, and people want to speak on that. So I don't think that, giving people 3 minutes, I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Also, this would allow for written testimony as well. A lot of bodies do that, where you can go on the website, you can click on the bill on the website, and then you can see who testified for and against. And then if somebody wants to fill out a form, that if they can't make the meeting for whatever reason, or a lot of times people are intimidated to come down here and testify on a bill, then at least they can click on that. I don't know how this would be set up, but just as an example, they can click on that and see like, oh, okay, so-and-so supported this, or, the firefighters didn't support this or whoever. So I think that's really a good thing for transparency and honestly helps us all. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Alderman from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very supportive of this amendment. I think that in a representative democracy, whenever a citizen takes time out of their day to come down to City Hall, we should give them 3 minutes of our time to hear them out. In the past, we've had a lot of people come on various different bills and take time out of their day to come down here to a committee hearing just to be told that they would not have an opportunity to speak. I think that this amendment would ensure that any resident of the city or interested party who had a stake in any given piece of legislation would ensure that they had a chance to be heard on it. And that's part of what we're supposed to do down here, is we're supposed to be here for people to speak truth to power to. And so I'm very supportive of this. I think that it increases the transparency on what we're doing down here, and it holds us accountable, because at the end of the day, if we have stacks and stacks of people coming and saying that they feel one way about something, I think that that's something that should be taken into account when we're making our decisions. And so to prevent people from giving their opinion to government just seems kind of untenable to me. It seems un-American to me to prevent people from coming down to City Hall and telling elected officials their opinion on something. So I would encourage you all to support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Hey, thank you. Alderman from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Will the Alderwoman from the 8th yield for questions?
Alderman, will you yield the question to the
around.
I will, thanks.
Alderman from the 7th, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Alderwoman, I just want to make sure I'm clear on a couple things. I think this is a good idea, but I think someone mentioned courtesy resolutions, generally not assigned to committee.
Correct.
There would be no need for a public
Correct. So this is
hearing on
only in committee.
Correct.
Right.
And so, for, I guess, resolutions where we seek unanimous consent,
Right.
some fairly routine matters that don't go to committee, we could still do that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And lastly, I guess just a comment, in terms of the written testimony, I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'd encourage the board, I don't think this takes an additional rule, but we should figure out how to take that testimony, put it into a file and post it along with the board bill, or the resolution on the relevant section of our website. If we're going to take it anyway, we should make it easier for people to find. I mean, obviously, any public testimony would be part of the record and on YouTube, but I think we should do the same with the written comments we receive.
Yep.
That's all. I will support these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman from 10th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just in the spirit of the bill, should we send this committee to get public input on this? Just a question.
Yeah, Alderman from 12th, were you up to make comments? Alderman from 12th.
She's not changing.
How about now? Oh, perfect. Would the Alderwoman from the 8th submit for questions or yield for questions?
Alderman from the 8th will yield.
Yes.
Alderman from the 12th, please proceed.
Excellent, and thank you for yielding to questions, Alderwoman Rice. If I can clarify, is there a local, state, or federal precedent, procedural precedent for committees such as this? Are we, to paraphrase, are we reinventing the wheel or merely making ours a bit smoother?
I think we're making ours a bit smoother. So, when you're looking at congressional hearings, you're looking at the county council, for example, takes public testimony every Tuesday when they meet. And those are different types of bodies. We are a different type of legislative body. They don't actually allow public input in their committee meetings, but we don't allow public input in our full board meetings. So our opportunity for public input is in those committee meetings. So this is just is making it very clear across the board that this is a process, this is a muscle that we are going to use as a legislative elected body, that we're going to take public input as we do our business. And sometimes there may be no one show up, right? This is not a mandate that someone has to say something or else we can't move forward. This is, if someone wants to speak on the issue, we have made ourselves available to hear them.
If I might ask, for the county council, do they swear in prior to their meetings, or?
That's a good question. I don't actually know. I think that's in our amended rules is the swearing in that we'll be, that's not a part of this rule, but that is one of the.
Okay. I yield back. Thank you.
Sure.
Alderman from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the Alderman from the 8th, Alderwoman, my apologies.
Alderman will yield to Alderman from 3rd.
I will.
All right, please proceed, Alderman.
So just, I agree with you, first of all, that it's very important for us to have public testimony on any decisions that we make, but for the sake of the understanding of how things can sometimes go, I just have a few questions. So if 100 people were to sign up after at a committee hearing with this legislation, does it force us to hear all 100 people?
So the language does say they shall be heard alternately. We've had issues in front of this board before that have had that much controversial testimony. I believe the Civilian Oversight Board was multiple days of hearings in order to hear all of the people who came. This does not mandate that a committee chair can't say, hey, it's midnight, we gotta go, and we will pick this back up the next time. This doesn't say that people are allowed to speak as long as they want to, but it does say that we have to hear the folks who are interested in testifying to their government.
Understood. So once again, you'd have to hear all 100, correct?
I mean, I think within parameters, I think, yeah, the word is they shall be heard alternately. So yes.
Understood. So, and that is before any bill or resolution can be passed. So in the event that 100 people would like to speak, they have a maximum of 5 minutes. Right. There's no minimum there, but the chair could hypothetically say 20 seconds after somebody speak and cut them off and say, you got to go.
Yeah, technically, yes.
9 times out of 10, that probably won't happen. Be frowned upon by the public, but just giving people the time that they need, just at that 5-minute mark. At 10 people, you're looking at an hour. You go up 2 hours, that's 20 people, so on and so forth, right? Yeah. Sometimes we're restricted with some board bills that pop up because of time restraints, things that we have to hurry up and get done. So in the event that we have, like with the board bills that are coming up now for funding, I'm sure some of those things at some point in time may have time limits on it, and it may not be particularly attached to this $400 million that we're supposed to be getting to do particular things. But I'm sure over time, there are things that will come to the board like they always do, where we have to hurry up and react. So then in the event that that does happen, and you have these different factions that are here all over the city right now, and everybody wants to come testify, we get a few hundred people like we have had before, and they are forced to testify, and we have a time restraint that says we must get X, Y, Z done within 4 or 5 days, or whatever that time restraint is. This could, in theory, change the time frame in which we have to get that done based on how many people show up for testimony. If, once again, we can't get everybody to testify in one day. We have 4 or 5 different meetings that could take 4 or 5 different weeks. Also, is there any parameters in which we have, which I don't see, and how long before a committee hearing is said to be taking place that the public has to be notified for public testimony? Is that just going back to our general rules?
That's in the rules, and that's in the Sunshine Law.
So it's about a week, right?
I'm sorry, what?
What is it, like 24 hours, 48 hours? What is
Yeah, I believe it's the meetings have to be posted at least 24 hours ahead. And so the public hearing procedures that are currently posted or have been this last legislative session would just be posted with every meeting. And so when the calendar goes up, also that information on how to testify also goes up.
Understood. So in the event, once again, we got 100 people that show up, we give 2 or 3 hours of testimony, and we have to cut it off, and the chairman says we're going to come back tomorrow. We'd have to give a 24-hour or 48-hour post, right?
It's a little bit different with a continued meeting, so those laws do change. So
Can you explain how that would go?
Oh, that's I think that's a question for the clerk, which we unfortunately don't have with us here today.
Well, we're making this rule change right now, and that's an important change. We need to make
It is, but I think you're looking at a very significant circumstance that is not what is going to be the normalcy of most of our meetings. And if that does happen, if we have an issue so controversial that 100 of our citizens want to testify, I think we owe it to them as the elected body, as folks who work for them, to make ourselves as available as possible to hear as many people as we can. You know, there are meetings in other legislative bodies that go past midnight, right? We have the ability to get the work done. I have all the faith in the world in us and our staff to be able to get that done.
And definitely not disagreeing with the public needing to have their voices heard. That's what they pay their tax dollars for, to be able to walk into this building and testify on behalf of what they think needs to happen. But I also want us to make sure that we're passing clear legislation and rules that we can see that will not come back at some point in time and maybe put constraints on us. So when we look at, just from my perspective, I've had meetings where 50 or 60 people show up to testify. And we also have a lot of meetings where people come up and repeat the same thing over and over again. And people need to get what they have off their chest off. And, you know, that is very, very important. It's not, you know, waste of time or anything like that. Definitely not saying that. But in a lot of circumstances, once again, with these different factions that we have within the city, man, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on. And people don't always have genuine intentions when they come into our chambers or when they come to our meetings. And I'm not speaking about a particular faction or people here and there, but we know there's a lot of things that goes on. I'm just saying when you look at this, from my perspective, I think we need to tighten it up just a little bit. It's good for us to have public testimony. But I think we need to be a little bit more tight with this language. If we're going to allow hundreds of people to be able to come and testify, we need to have some type of idea of what it looks like having continuous days. Because, I mean, you just said you really don't know what that looks like.
That's not what I said, but we may be in a situation today where we have to continue a meeting until a later time as we're running up on time constraints as well. And so that is a procedure that happens fairly regularly in legislative bodies. I just don't happen to know the noticing details that would be in place there. So off the top of my head, I don't.
Right. So I'm just saying those are important things to know. Once again, I appreciate it.
Sure.
I am not against this legislation at all. I think it's important for us to have public testimony, but this is a board. We got new people coming in. I think we just need to be very strategic with what it is that we do and how we move around right now. This isn't a hurry up and let's change the rules. Nothing is getting ready to happen in the city overnight. Not a thing. We got gunshots going on all over the place. We got money coming down the pipeline that's not earmarked. We got a lot going on. And the more chaotic we make things as people get settled in by changing rules, trying to do things that I believe are sporadic. And this is no disrespect to the Alderwoman from the 8th. We all sit at home sometimes and try to figure out how to better make this board work, how to be a better legislative body, how to be better alder people. But once again, with the new people coming in right now, and us having these amazing opportunities, we got a new administration that'll be getting sworn in here in just a few hours. We need to take our time as a board. We need to look at what it is that we're doing and give everybody here the opportunity to digest what it is that we are looking forward to doing here in the next year or so, to digest what it is that our goals are as a board. Because right now, and just being from my perspective, we got different factions in the board. We got progressives, conservatives, the caucus. Like, we got to get some stuff together, and there has to be some clear path to what that looks like. And I think, once again, we have to sit down, we have to take some time outside of this chambers, and we need to sit and talk with each other a little bit more so we can have a clear, concise path on where we're going within the city. Once again, not support of it, but I won't vote for it today. I just think with all these different rule changes that's been coming back and forth, we just had a few last week in closed session. We need to take our time. Thank you.
I think the Alderman from the 18th was up, and then the Alderman from the 19th. Alderman from the 18th.
I'm in support of this bill because this will make us as all the people more transparent. This will allow for maximum feasible citizens' participation, which is the main thing that we should be about, because it is the citizens who pay the bills. It is the citizens who elect us to office. It is the citizens that we should be accountable to, and we should be as transparent as feasible. The citizens should know everything. Shouldn't anything be hidden from the citizens? This is their house. They pay us. They pay for the lights, the desk, everything. They're the boss, and the boss should know what the workers are doing. And so I'm 100% in support of this bill. I'm 100% in support of democracy. I'm 100% again in support of the citizens participating in what they are paying for, so that we can be held accountable by them, the voters, and the taxpayers.
Thank you. Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I can agree with probably 75% of this, but in the meantime, when we want to talk about being transparent, let's send this to committee so all of us can talk about it. I also believe that if you really want all of the public to have ability to send emails and everything, we need to create a system. Our IT system should allow people to be able to call, and their thoughts will be transcribed for them and will be entered in the record. There's so many things we could do with this. Let's talk about it. I would like to refer this to committee.
Alderman from the 19th, are you making an official motion, or are you saying you just like?
I move that this amendment be sent to the Rules Committee.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 19th. Hold on for a second. I got it. It's been moved and then seconded by the Alderman from the 14th and the Alderman from the 3rd, that we refer this amendment to committee, or go ahead.
So just for clarification's sake, we have unanimous consent already on the table, and if this bill is the way that we move our rules forward, this is the way that we conduct our business as a body, can we even move this to committee?
Well, if you just look at it the way you just looked at it, yes, we still would be able to, because we still have rules in effect. But a more valid argument would be you know, this is an idea. This is an amendment, right? This isn't a resolution. It's not a bill. It's none of those things. So what would be referred to committee is just this amendment, right? So we're not sending the resolution or anything like that to committee. What the motion would do would be to charge the committee with looking into this amendment and all of its effects on the rules and if it needs to be flushed out more or anything like that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
This is the first time I've seen an amendment itself on a resolution moved to committee and not the resolution as a whole.
No, and again, you're not moving a resolution, not moving anything like that to committee. What you would do is say that this idea, this amendment, right, this idea, we would be, the full board has the ability to charge a committee with doing whatever, right? So in this case, the full board through its vote would charge the committee with looking into this amendment, right? And, you know, then the committee would look at the amendment and flush out anything further within that amendment and add more flush to it if it needs to and report back to the full board its total implications.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't see that in the rules.
No, you're not going to see it printed like that because you're not referring a resolution, you're not referring a bill. But remember, the board itself has the ability through its vote to charge a committee with doing some work. And in this case, what that would do, it would charge the committee with looking into the impacts of this, this amendment, right? And that's the way it works. So the full board, again, through its vote, can charge the committee with doing whatever. Like we're going to be looking into more things related to the workhouse. So there may be a subject matter that the board asks the committee to look into, right? This would be under that category, like a subject matter. So you can't look at this like you're referring a bill or a resolution or anything like that to committee, right? It's basically asking the board to investigate and to look into this issue.
If that's the ruling of the chair, then okay.
But it gives, you're asking them to look into this issue, right? And you know, the clerk isn't here, so I'll add this. That does not take away. That does not take away your ability to still say you want to vote on this thing. It doesn't take away that ability. But it's the charge for the committee if the board votes to.
Okay. All right, we can vote on the motion to refer. That's fine.
Okay. It's the, So again, let's go through this so make sure everybody's on the same page. This amendment, and then we're going to move forward because we're running very short on time. So this amendment number 1 is an idea that was presented by the Alderwoman from the 8th, right? There are members of the board who feel like this idea may need more fleshing out or whatever, right? That idea is in the form of an amendment. Now, the board has the ability to charge any committee, any standing or special committee, to take up any subject matter or any issue they want to do it, and you do it through the vote of the board. So what the Alderwoman from the 19th and the Alderwoman from the 14th and the Alderman from the 3rd were saying was this idea needs to be fleshed out more, right? And we should require that the Rules Committee begin the process of fleshing out this idea, right? Now, because it is an amendment to a resolution, again, remember, we're not submitting that full resolution back to committee, right? We would just be charging the committee to look into this thing. One of the things I stated to you, we have to get these doors. Yeah. Hey, can you make sure that that door is fully closed up there? Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. So, back to where I was left off. So, so the board, right? If that measure that the Alderman from the 19th brought up and the Alderman from the 3rd and the 14th brought up, if that is adopted, then the committee would begin the process of looking into this, right? Now, the board still, it doesn't take this off the floor. The board still can vote up or down this amendment, right? Because it's an amendment, right? But if indeed the board determines through the majority vote that they want the committee to look into it, then that same board can choose not to support it today, right? So your amendment is technically still in play, but the idea of the amendment, which is what the Alderman from the 3rd, the Alderman from the 19th, Alderman from the 14th has asked, that be fleshed out in committee. So, and for the newer members, what that means is that generally speaking, if that ends up being the wishes of the majority, it's probably wise not to continue to fight on this one today, because it can be brought back once the idea is fleshed out in committee more. So that's kind of where we're at. And we have the motion on the amendment. And you remember, you can, a motion to refer and a motion to do what they're talking about, that's always in order, right? It's always in order. And you can amend an amendment, but you cannot amend an amendment to an amendment, right? So what we have here right now is the amendment. We have a motion on the amendment, and then there's been a motion to charge the committee with looking into this idea, right? No, I said, yes, I explained it in great detail. Yeah, great detail. So again, the board can always request that something, an idea or anything like this be brought before a committee. So through the board's positive vote on that, that committee would be charged with looking into this thing, right? What it does not do, again, what it does not do, it does not remove this amendment off the floor today. But if indeed the board itself says, we believe through your positive vote that the committee should look into this further, then it would be wise for the sponsor to say, okay, since that passed, I'll just hold this today, this amendment today, and I'll work with the committee to flush it out more and then bring it back. So that's all up to the sponsor, right? After we get through this. Yes.
So thank you, Mr. President. I do want to point out for those that are new, if you did not notice, I did approach the dais. I did so because we don't have a clerk on the floor today. Typically, members of the body are not allowed to approach the dais without the consent of the chair. So I just want to make sure that you all are clear as to the reasoning behind that. You can go up there, but you're not actually allowed to climb the stairs. We'll get into that later. But I just, for point of clarification, what you're saying is that underneath Rule 37, motions during debate, one of the motions, number 5, is to refer. So you're saying that we'll take a vote on the reference of this amendment.
To refer the idea, because again, it's an amendment.
But we can't, so we can't have like 2 motions before us at the same time. So we have to have one motion before us, which would be the motion to refer. And if that motion passes, then the amendment would not be before us any longer because it would be in committee if it has been referred to committee.
Again, like I said, it does not take it off the floor completely today. The sponsor can still choose to move forward with this idea again today because it's an amendment and we're not referring the entire measure. Let's take off the fact that it's an amendment. And then we got to get moving because we're really short on time. Let's assume for a second it's not an amendment, but it's the entire measure. If you referred that entire measure, the entire thing would go away. But, when we charge the committee to look into this amendment, we're going to refer this idea, and I'm calling it an idea because it's an amendment to something that's existing on the floor of the Board of Aldermen, to look into this thing, right? And what I also threw out there was that if it is the wishes of the majority of the members of the board that the committee look into it, it would probably be in the best interest of the sponsor to say, okay, since that passed and the majority of the members now say we should look into it, then I'm not going to bring it back up today. But she could. It does not take it off the floor. She can still amend the current thing that's before us.
Right, because typically for Rule 37, the motion to refer, the entire resolution would be sent to committee.
I understand that rule inside and out, upwards, backwards, better than you make.
I just want to make sure that we're clear.
I understand that rule and better than you may believe, but again, I'm trying to explain it in a way that gives you maximum. You guys.
But the vote that would be before us is not a reference of the resolution to committee, but it would be a vote for the idea.
Yeah, no, to charge the again, it puts this. And the reason I'm calling it an idea is because it's not a bill. Let's just call it an amendment. It sends to the committee the things that are enclosed in this amendment, right? So that the committee can flush it out more and say, okay.
But shouldn't that typically take the form of a resolution?
It does not have to take the form of a resolution. It does not have to take the form of a resolution. Again, you got to go back to this part. This board, through its vote, can charge.
Understood.
I know, but it's important to understand this. This board, through its vote, today can charge any standing committee to do whatever work it wants it to do. That does not have to be in the form of a resolution. You say, investigate X, Y, or Z, right?
Understood, Mr. President.
That's been done. over and over. So
I don't recall it being done most of the times. Like
well,
I recall a resolution being done.
Most of the time it's not. Most of the time it isn't, but it has been done. Okay. Also, it's been done under your tenure here at the Board of Aldermen in the past.
I am only familiar with these types of situations when we've had a resolution that addresses these situations. But
yeah.
You know, you are the chair. I will defer to you, and I know it's unusual circumstances with COVID, so
yeah.
You know, I yield my time.
All right, thanks all. Thanks all. Anything further? Alderman from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I guess at this point I'm just seeking clarity. Are we taking a vote on whether or not to refer the amendment, the Alderman from the 8th amendment to committee, or the entire rules?
No, it would not be the entire rules. What it would be is just this idea of this amendment to committee. Now, moving forward, the Alderman, like I said before, the Alderman from the 8th could still bring up, you know, this amendment. It does not take it away like it would a resolution or whatever.
Understood.
What it would do is to just tell the committee to look into this, right? Tells the committee to look into the impacts of it, and that's it, right? It's different than if we're referring a bill or resolution or anything like that to committee.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. President. You know, as the Rules Committee Chair, yeah, I would ask today that we just pass this rule. I think this makes sense. I think it sets it's a bad look to be standing here saying that one of the first acts we take as a new body is to say we don't want public input at our committee hearings. Frankly, we already take public testimony on the vast majority of the bills passed down here as required by law. There are development-related bills that require public input. You know, doing that for a handful more pieces of legislation and resolutions, I don't think will be overly burdensome. I think as written, this amendment, this rule change, proposed rule change, still gives, you know, ample discretion to the chair of that committee to limit the time somebody may speak. And as written, I don't also believe it requires, you know, you could have multiple committee meetings on the same bill. Only one of those committee meetings necessarily requires public testimony. I mean, if it's the will of the body to send it to committee, we'll give it a fair hearing and probably take public input on it. But I also think, you know, we could probably just pass this today and move on with more pressing matters. Thank you.
All right, Alderman from the 23rd.
Make a correction. I disagree that this is not, public testimony is always welcome at our meetings. And to say that our first vote is to disallow or do away with public testimony is a farce. At no point did we say we're going to take away public testimony. This just says everything has to have it, even things that are not significant. I agree with one thing, that yes, you can have the public testimony as I read it in one hearing, and then move on to not hear it in multiple hearings. I agree with that. But to say that our first vote is to take away the right for people to have, I don't know that there's been any hearings that we've had in public safety that we have not had public testimony. We've always had it. But there are things that we do here that don't require public testimony. Not every bill that we do requires it, but every bill that it seems that we've had of a lot of importance, at least in public safety, we've always had public testimony. I just want to correct that our first vote is not to take away public testimony. This in no way does that. It just says that every hearing, every bill does not require public testimony. And that's my argument. And again, we've had it, we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up in public safety, we're going to have a lot of public testimony. But there are a lot of bills that don't require it. And this will just go to make some of the things slow down, that we can't get things passed, things that should be passed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 22nd, then we'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was one of my colleagues from the 11th would yield for a question.
Alderman from the 11th, we yield question to Alderman.
Absolutely.
Alderman from 22nd, please.
Thank you. I'm going to lean on your expertise in Jefferson City when the Senate and the House has hearings. Do they put time limits on hearings? Like, you know, we're going to hear this bill, we're going to have hearings from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock or something like that?
Typically, it's a combination of how much time they have in a committee hearing, you know, if someone else needs that space, or, you know, the chair wants to give 3 to 5 minute limit.
Right. I guess I'm more concerned about time. Certainly 3 to 5 minutes to speak is one issue, but my trepidation is, you know, if you load up a committee with 40 people to give testimony and you run out of time, and you can run out of time because there are other committee hearings that members need to be present for, or whatever. Every member down here is going to have a different schedule. And so, depending on time being of the essence, and a bill may really need to get out that week or so, we can end up with short pants on because all committee members may not be able to make the hearing the next day. And we may not make the STL TV schedule for that day. And so while I'm definitely interested in transparency and public input, I guess I don't want to put short pants on committees whereby we would have to hear 40 and 50 people and extend the days because of other time commitments. I could certainly support this if the chair had discretion to say, hey, look, we know this is going to be a hot issue, and we probably need 4 hours, and then that's it. So if we don't get to you on that list, I'm sorry. You know, we just couldn't get to you. I think for the sake of decorum, for the sake of fairness, for the sake of everybody's time, not to slight the public, because we can use that public transparency in the public's house and the public pays and the public this and the public that. That's all our opinion. That may not necessarily be what the public say. That may be what certain interest groups say. So I would like to vote for this, but I can't vote for this if, as a chairman, you're going to hold me hostage to be having subsequent meetings, and I don't even know if I'll be able to pull that off because I have other committee chairs that are on other committees. Some people might be on 4 or 5 committees. And so I applaud the Alderwoman from the 8th Ward. I think it's a good idea, but it could have unintended consequences. And so that's why I would rather have more discussion about this in a committee hearing and not necessarily on the floor of the Board of Aldermen. I don't think that, I'm not sure if there's a real sense of urgency where we got to do this today. Maybe there is, and I just don't know about it, but it's meaningful, and I think it will be helpful and productive if we have more discussion in a committee. And thank you, Alderwoman from the 11th. I just wanted to know,
sure,
you know, because we always say, well, Congress do this, well, the state do that, and sometimes we just want the cafeteria plan that fits an agenda. And I just want to work in the spirit of everybody working together.
Sure, might I respond?
Yes.
So I guess one idea, and this is in the in this amendment, is, you know, an either or, where people are able. So let's say we run out of the 4 hours time, because you know, it's politics, right? We can't take the politics out of this, but if you have a 4-hour time limit or whatever, then people can submit written testimony, and that is where it's important that that gets posted. So, you know, I'm Sarah Martin and I represent this organization, or I represent myself, and I feel X, Y, and Z about this bill, and then that is posted online with the bill. So, you know, you click on Board Bill 10, and when you click on that, it shows the last action, and then it would list who was for, who was against, and then it would have all of the witness forms scanned in. So in Jefferson City, everyone has to take a witness form. If you testify orally, you show up at a hearing, you have to fill out, Sarah Martin, I represent X, Y, and Z. If you testify and it's on the video, you don't have to write out your testimony and what you said. But say you don't feel comfortable testifying, or say you can't make that hearing that day, especially with the pandemic, that's been an issue, then you can go online, you can write out the form, you submit it, and then all those forms are scanned in and they're online. So I don't know if I'll compromise, not to make this hairier, but I don't know if a compromise could be worked out like that where, if you do run out of time, then everyone is given that, that option. But I do think it's important at the board, and the very controversial firefighters pension bill last session, public testimony was not allowed, or it was, I don't know if allowed is the right word, but it didn't happen. And so I don't think that we have to be honest with ourselves about what really happens down here. And I'm not saying that, there's malice behind certain things, but there have been times where public testimony hasn't happened. Now, that said, some of our chairs are wonderful, and they'll have a hearing, during the daytime, so people can make the hearing if that's convenient for them during the day. And then they'll also, I can't remember who, it was Parks, but I can't remember who was chair at the time, but the Confederate flag issue, or the Confederate monument, we had an evening hearing as well, so people could come in the evening. And I think that's great. We shouldn't say that it doesn't happen, but we all have to be honest with ourselves, and it also hasn't happened before. We have instances. So I think we really need to think about, the best interest here, giving people a place to express how they feel to their elected representatives, and figure out a way everyone's heard. So thank you for the inquiry.
And I appreciate what the Alderman from 11 said. And in the spirit of, wanting to collaborate with one another, I think that's an excellent idea, is that people should be required to write it out. And if they wrote it out and we didn't get a chance to get to them, then they can just hand it in, and we wouldn't have to go through the mental gymnastics of trying to set up subsequent meetings and subsequent meetings. So I really like that idea. And thank you for the conversation.
Mike, sorry, one thing, not to belabor. My concern, of course, is that, a chair would say, okay, 30 minutes is up, and everyone else can send in written testimony. So we got to strike a balance here where people do feel like they're heard. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I rise in support of this amendment today. I think it's pretty common sense. I think a lot of us have sat through some long committee hearings where we've had the public show up, some that have gone on for hours and hours and hours. What we have found, I think, is that through attrition, people, leave. If it gets to be a point where it's 4 or 5 hours in and folks can't stick around, and having the written testimony part of this does allow folks to still be heard, even if they can't stick around for the entirety of a hearing, while still allowing us to make sure that we fulfill our obligation in hearing what the public has to say. We've had a number of contentious bills over the years here too. Civilian oversight is one, minimum wage is another, where we knew that we really needed public testimony. Because there were a lot of really raw emotions around both of these bills. And so we took it upon ourselves to have, I think, 3 or 4 public hearings where we had 50, 60 people show up to each one of those hearings. And we made time for it, and we made it a priority because it was important. I think if folks take time to come down to City Hall or to contact us online to say that they want to testify on something via Zoom, whether it is a tax abatement that is occurring in their ward or something very controversial like criminal justice reform, we owe it to folks to hear what they have to say. And I think this is a pretty common sense amendment to our rules that has, I think, some pretty broad support here today. So as somebody who's also been vice chair of rules for the last few years, I have never seen advisement go to a committee without a resolution telling a committee to do something. So I would say, on the motion to send to committee, I would ask you, or for advisement in committee, to vote no on that. I think we do have the support today to pass this, put this into the rules, and then if there are any unintended consequences with this, I'm sure that the new chairman of rules would be willing to work with the rest of the board in addressing any of those unintended consequences. So let's get off on a positive foot today, show the voters that we value transparency, that we value their input, get this done, and get us off to the inauguration. Let's go.
Can you hold for 1 second? I believe the mayor-elect is on her way here to be sworn in, and then she's going to go off to their swearing in. They just told me she's right here, so I just need to make sure that she's there. Yeah, can you check to see? While we're waiting for the mayor they're not there? Okay. Yeah, hold it for a second. They sent word over that she was going to come here to be sworn in or something like that. Go ahead, Alderman from Nate.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, fellow members of the board, what it sounds like is that this is a framework of an idea. This is something that we have not yet done, and there does need to be some more meat around this. Some of it may be policy, maybe we don't want it to be a rule, but we need implementation. So what I would like to do and what I would ask for today is that we pass this amendment, put this on the rules, and we commit to figuring out how this works best, right? This is a new process the same way that meeting on Zoom has been, it's been a learning curve. And so the more we can come together and say, hey, this piece isn't working, we need to tweak this. This piece isn't working, let's tweak this, let's adjust how we're doing this. I think that we can work together as a board to do that, but I think those tweaks are coming through experience. And so I would ask that we pass this amendment today, and because I honestly don't see within our rules or within debatable motions or motions to be made during a debate that we can refer or we can task a committee with an idea. And so what I would ask is that we can, if the Alderwoman from the 19th is amenable to withdraw the amendment and then work with me as we go forward on further implementation. So we put this framework in place with this amendment, we pass this amendment today with this resolution, and then we work on implementation. We see if we get flooded with this, 50 people saying the exact same thing, we figure that out. If we get, we get hundreds of emails with the exact same form, right? My inbox has been flooded with it. I'm sure yours have as well. So it's, written testimony has the tendency to be tedious and repetitive as well. And so there's some ways that we're going to need to finagle this, and we're going to need to work with the clerk. But the basic framework, I think, already exists, and we can do that with this rule amendment today. So if we're not going to withdraw this motion, I would ask that we vote no on this amendment, or vote no on this motion that's on the table. We vote yes on the amendments, and we move ourselves forward, committed to public transparency and working to make this the best possible.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderman from the 19th, do you still want to keep on the table charging the committee with looking into this? Knowing that it does not remove the issue from in front of us today, but you're just charging the committee with looking into this. Well, we are going to pause for a second because we have the new mayor here with us today for swearing in.
Good afternoon to all of our honorary guests. Well, I'm your guest, but honorary members of the board. I am Judge Angela Turner Quickless from the Missouri Court of Appeals of the Eastern District of Missouri, and I consider it quite an honor, and I'm very humbled by the opportunity to swear in our first African-American female judge, soon to be Mayor Tashara O. Jones, officially after I swear her in. Step a little closer so she can hear. Good. All right. State your name.
I, Tashara O. Jones,
Of the City of St. Louis, State of Missouri.
of the City of St. Louis, State of Missouri,
Having been elected by the qualified voters of the City of St. Louis.
having been elected by the qualified voters of the City of St. Louis,
To the position of Mayor of the City of St. Louis.
to the position of Mayor of the City of St. Louis,
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
That I have all the qualifications.
that I have all the qualifications
And am not subject to any of the disqualifications.
and I'm not subject to any of the disqualifications
Named in the charter for the office or employment I'm about to assume.
named in the charter for the office of employment I'm about to assume.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
And this state and the charter and ordinances of the city.
and this state and the charter and the ordinances of this city.
That I will be influenced only by the consideration of fitness.
That I will be influenced only by the consideration of fitness
And the appointment, promotion, demotion, suspension, or discharge of officers or employees.
and the appointment, promotion, demotion, suspension, or discharge of officers or employees.
That I will, yes, that I will not extend nor authorize the expenditures of money.
That I will not extend or authorize expenditures of money
Otherwise than for adequate consideration.
otherwise than for adequate consideration
And efficient service to the city.
and efficient service to the city,
And will faithfully discharge the duties.
and will faithfully discharge the duties
Of my office of employment.
of my office or employment.
Congratulations.
Everyone, members of the Board of Aldermen, friends and guests, we are just so honored to have you here today, Mayor-elect Jones. Mayor Jones now, sorry, not elect Jones, Mayor Jones now. And we're committed to working with you, each and every one of us working with you to build our city back better so that we have a strong St. Louis, a St. Louis that we all can be proud of. Congratulations on your hard-fought victory, and welcome to the Board of Aldermen, Mayor Jones.
Hi, good afternoon. It's so wonderful to see all of you. And so it's a beautiful day, even though it's snowing. Someone told me that's God's confetti. So I'll take it. But you know how St. Louis is. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes because it was 70 degrees yesterday. And Annie Rice and I were sitting out on the patio at Sasha's. So I just wanted to come by and thank every one of you for your support and pledge to you my support for things that you're working on in your wards. Because when you thrive, everybody thrives. And we want St. Louis to thrive, not just survive. I look forward to ushering in a new spirit of collaboration and cooperation between our branches of government. I know the legislative branch is a very critical piece of the three-legged stool, right, of government. And I look forward to working with you and working with my good friend, Louis Reed. We've been friends for a long time, co-workers for a long time. And right before politics. And you know, Louis and I, we may fight during elections, but then afterwards we have a pop or a soda, and then we press the reset button. So I look forward to, All right, that's, I know, pop, exactly. Because I know Lewis doesn't drink, but I do. The weight of my heart is bourbon, by the way. But anyway, I just wanted to, again, come by and thank all of you. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you, things that are important to your wards, because, again, when your wards thrive, the rest of the city thrives. So thank you so much.
No, you can't go home yet. All right. All right. I think it was Alderwoman of the 8th. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you had finished. I was